But what is anxious attachment? This is described as a relationship that's rooted in fear of abandonment. So Bowlby was one of the pioneers of this attachment research. Anxious attachment presents itself as this intense closeness seeking. The person who's anxious wants connection. They are seeking closeness with others. This is often an infant with a parent, which we'll get into a little bit more. There's heightened emotional sensitivity, so being triggered by little things, being very sensitive to people's emotions, being sensitive to changes in the environment. And there's hypervigilance, which is basically being on edge all the time, having almost like a heightened arousal system. If the best example I can give you is a faulty smoke detector, it'll go off for even the slightest smell. That is kind of what anxious attachment is like. And this is not a personality flaw. This is literally a survival strategy that your nervous system has adapted. The research shows that there's a couple things that do contribute consistently to anxious attachment. And the first is inconsistent caregiving. So too much stimulation and attunement from the caregiver at times, and then not enough engagement at other times. So this could look like, for example, when the baby's crying, the caregiver is constantly picking it up, constantly kissing it, constantly trying to help it at all times, never letting it really like self-regulate or soothe. But it can also look like when the baby's crying, the caregiver just ignores it at other times, right? So it's either too much or it's not enough. There's not really a healthy balance. The second is emotional unpredictability. So the parent can be both cold and warm at the same time. And this makes it confusing for the child to be able to predict their response. And that's a big thing here in anxious attachment. It's where we aren't able to predict what's going to happen with our parent or with our partner or with our friend. And we're just unsure. That's what causes that hypervigilance. We're not sure how they're going to react because there's no consistent behavior from them. The last is poor distress regulation. So for example, a parent could be holding their child close, right? They're holding the child's crying, they're holding the child close to them, but they're sort of ignoring the child. They're not actually looking at it. They're not actually trying to help it. So yes, part of the child's needs are being met by being held by the parent, but they're not emotionally being regulated or helped or attuned to by that parent. The child then really struggles with managing their distressing emotions and finding a way to regulate. So how does it look like in babies?